Hi class, so now we're on the topic na leases. So first na ano natin dito is lessee accounting. So under sa isang lease, meron tayong tinatawag na lessor and may tinatawag tayong lessee. Si lessor, siya yung nagpapaupa or nagpapa-rent out and si lessee siya yung umuupa or nag-rent out. So for example, ikaw ay umuupa sa isang building para sa iyong office, isa kang lessee. So ngayon, titignan natin on how to account for the perspective ni lessee kung paano niya i-account ang kanyang lease. So meron tayong new standard which is PFRS 16 that governs the leases. So under PFRS 16, lease is defined as contract or part of a contract that conveys the right to use of the underlying asset for a period of time in exchange for a consideration. Contract must convey the right to control the use of an identified asset. So para masabing may right to control the use, there should be first merong economic benefits na substantially napupunta sa iyo lahat as lessee. And also dapat meron kang direct use of that identified asset. Okay, so under PFR 16, all lease should fall into finance lease. So this is the difference with other PFRS dati, yung old standard. Dati kasi nahati ang lease either finance or operating lease. Pero under PFR 16, all leases shall be accounted for by the lessee as a finance lease under the new lease standard. So ano bang sinasabi under finance lease? So under finance lease, we should recognize a right of use asset and a lease liability. So later on, ituturo natin on how to recognize, how to present, how to disclose this ROU and lease liability. Pero sabi natin, lahat is finance lease. So kailan lang magkakaroon ng operating lease? So magkakaroon lang if nag-fall ang lease mo dito sa two exemptions na to. First is short-term lease. Dapat yung lease term ng iyong inuupahan is less than 12 months or less at commencement date. So for example, nag-rent ka ng printer para sa office mo. So masasabi mong short-term siya, for example, if 5 months mo lang to linis, di ba? Another one, pwede rin sa building. Pwede ko rin, building mo is short-term lang din. Let's say 5 months lang. Pero kailangan mo lagi i-consider, dapat itong dalawa is ma-meet mo. Kung low value. So, paano naman natin malalaman kung low value ang isang lease? So, dapat titignan mo yung value niya nung bago siya. For example, ang ninilease mo is computer. Nag-lease ka ng computer. So, titignan mo magkano ba siya nung bago siya. Pwede ba siya mag-fall as low value? So, si standard hindi siya nagbigay ng specific amount as to magkano ang value para masabing low value. It depends on your professional judgment para masabi mo kung low value. Pero according dito sa standard, ang mga example na kinapture niya for low value are machineries or pwedeng yung mga furnitures or kaya yung mga laptop na rinet, ganun. So, it depends on you if for you low value siya. Pero take note na dapat ang titignan mo is value when it is new. For example, you rented out a building and it is already fully depreciated. So, halos wala na siyang value ngayon. Sira-sira na siya, pangit na siya. Let's say gano'n. So, masasabi ba nating low value siya? No. Kasi, kapag bago siya, so ang bagong building, laging mahal, di ba? So, i-consider mo daw siya as hindi low value na lease. Okay, so anong pinagkaiba ni operating lease kay finance lease? Si operating lease, nagre-recognize ng rent expense kapag nagbabayad siya. Si finance lease, nagre-recognize ng ROU asset and lease liability. Okay, so ngayon, punta na tayo sa right of use asset or ROU asset. So initially, it is measured at cost, including the following. First is the present value of lease payments or the initial measurement of lease liability. So this pertains to the amount na babayaran. Let's say, ang sabi, babayaran na monthly rent is 100,000 per month. Tapos, ngayon, ipipresent value mo yon kung ilang months, di ba? Parang sa usual na pag-present value natin. Ipipresent value mo yon to determine magkano yung ROU mo. So, yun din yung magiging initial mo na lease liability. Then aside from this, meron tayong mga i-add deduct. First, mga lease bonus. Let's say meron kang i-add mo to kapag meron kang binayad, kunyari na lease bonus. Tapos lease incentive naman, ibabawas mo kapag may na-receive ka incentive. Next, initial direct cost incurred. So pag meron kang cost na in-incur directly for the rent of this, kailangan mo siyang i-add sa ROU asset mo. Next, estimated cost of dismantling or removing and restoration of the underlying asset for which the lessee has a present obligation. So similar with PPE, kailangan mong estimate yung cost ng dismantling pag tinanggal mo siya. So these items are recognized in the right of use asset. Then subsequently, similar with PPE, it is subsequently measured at cost model which is cost less any active and impairment loss. So dine-depreciate po natin ang ROU asset katulad ng PPE, di ba? Hawig sila ng measurement as to initial and as to subsequent. Parehas lang din sila. As to presentation, it is recommended to have it as separate line item in the statement of financial position. So, nakalabas siya dito sa statement of financial position. But in case the company want to include it as part of the PPE, they may include it in PPE, pero dapat i-disclose nila sa kanilang notes to financial statement that this PPE amount includes ROU asset. Okay, so for the depreciation naman, so normal depreciation policy, so straight line ang depreciation ni ROU. So, i-depreciate mo siya over the useful life. So, let's say building ang rent mo, nag-recognize ka ng ROU asset based on the present value of the lease liability. I-depreciate mo to, let's say 10 years ang kanyang useful life. I-depreciate mo siya over useful life only if the lease transfers ownership to the lessee at the end of the lease term. So, ang perspective, hanggang buong useful life mo siya i-depreciate kapag merong presumption or assumption na mapupunta na sa'yo as lessee yung asset at the end. Or kapag merong purchase option, so merong binigay ng option sa'yo na pwede mo itong bilhin at the end and reasonably certain na i-exercise mo itong option na to. If that's the case, you should depreciate the ROU asset over its useful life. But if it is not the case, you should depreciate it over the short term between the useful life of asset and lease term. So, kunyari, ang useful life ng asset 10 years, di ba? Pero ang lease term lang, mag-lease na ako for 8 years, tapos hindi ko naman yan bibilin at the end or hindi mapupunta sa akin. Ang gagamitin kong useful life depreciation is the 8 years, which is the short term between the useful life and the lease term. Okay, so punta naman tayo kay lease liability. So kay lease liability, madali lang kasi tulad lang siya nung initial ni ROU asset which is present value of lease payments. It should be discounted using the interest rate implicit in the lease. So this is one of the items na kailangan natin focus. Anong gagamiting interest rate? Ang gagamitin natin according to the standard is the implicit rate. Pero pag hindi determined or hindi malaman kung magkano implicit rate, doon lang kinukuha yung incremental borrowing rate of lessee. In case parehas binigay sa problem, yung implicit and incremental, ang gagamitin mo is the implicit. Kumbaga, ito yung priority mo, the implicit rate. So that is the initial measurement. Pero subsequently, para siyang notes or loans payable na ina-amortize mo ang lease liability. Diba? So, may kita nyo dito sa mga sample problems yung pag-amortize natin ng lease liability. Okay. So, dito tayo sa problem 1. So, may illustration tayo dito that on January 1, 2021, an entity leased a machinery. So, nag-rent siya ng machinery for 4 years yet or year rent, which is the same as useful life. So, same lang useful life. Wala ka nang kailangang pag-isipan kung anong years yung gagamitin mo. Then next, ang babayaran niya is magbabayad siya annually ng 100,000 payable at the end of each year. The lease provides for a transfer of ownership. So, ita-transfer sa'yo at the end. So, in case magkaiba yung useful life and the lease term, ang gagamitin natin is the useful life. Kasi sabi natin, gagamitin lang natin yon if mapupunta sa yung ownership or it is reasonably certain na i-exercise natin yung option natin to purchase. So, ang sabi natin, ang initial measurement natin ng ROU and also the lease liability is the present value of lease payment. So we need to focus on magkano yung lease payments? 100,000. Gaano katagal? 4 years. So 400,000, 'di ba? Pero hindi siya ganoon, 'di ba? Kailangan mo present value. So you need to obtain the present value of annuity of 1. Bakit annuity of 1? Kasi installment every year. For 4 years at 12%. So 12% that is the implicit interest rate. Sabi natin, in case bigyan ka dito ng incremental borrowing rate, ang uunahin mo pa rin is the implicit interest rate. So provided here the present value of 3.0373 for the ordinary annuity of 1, so the present value will be 303,730. So that is 100,000 multiplied by the present value factor. So meron tayong present value of rental na 303,730. So ngayon, to entry it, we need to debit ROU asset. So ito yung asset natin, ito yung liability natin. So equal lang sila if wala namang mga other considerations. Next, sabi natin, i-depreciate natin to over the useful life of 4 years. So depreciation expense of 75,932. That is for asset. Paano naman si lease liability? Sabi natin, we need to amortize it. So, gagawa tayo ng amortization table. So, starting from January 1, 2021, ang present value natin is 303,730. The next year, amortization. So, every year magbabayad siya ng 100,000. Mag-i-interest tayo based on present value. 303,730 multiplied by 12% implicit rate. Then, kukuha natin magkano lang dito sa 100,000 na binayad, magkano lang yung papuntang principal. Then, magkano yung nasa interest. Then, makikita mo yung remaining present value until mag-zero out siya. So, to record for that, we need to debit interest expense and deduction of lease liability and credit to cash. And so on and so forth. So, ganun siya gagawin. So, similar with loans and notes payable, and this one is similar with PPE. Okay. So, for presentation purposes, ang i-record natin for ROU, so 303,730 minus 75,932, ang lalabas na carrying amount natin is 227,798, which should be reported as separate line item under non-current asset. So, ganun lang siya kadali. Actually, in real life, ganito rin ginagawa. Mahirap lang in real life is to obtain magkano yung interest rate. So, meron kaming mga ginagawang procedure to obtain this. So usually ang ginawa namin nun is to check magkano ba yung rate for the, kumbaga kung maglo-loan sila sa ibang bangko at anong rate sila papautangin. Parang ganun yung perspective kasi na implicit interest rate, diba? So ganun natin siya kinuha. Pero for this, given naman siya lagi. So ganito siya gagawin. So number 2 problem natin. Paano naman kapag binigyan ng option to buy or purchase? So, on January 1, 2021, lessee company list a machinery with the following pertinent information. So, meron siyang fixed rental naman at the end of each year, 1 million to ang rental niya. Lease term niya, 10 years. Useful life niya, 12 years. Incremental borrowing rate niya, 14. Implicit interest rate is 12. So, ang daming binibigay, diba? Mga pampagulo. Pero, if nakinig kayo kanina, alam nyo kung alin dito yung gagamitin nyo depending on the scenario. Lessee company had the option. Pwede niyang bilhin at the end ng kanyang pag-lease by paying 500,000. So, magbabayad siya. Sabi dito sa problem, reasonably certain na i-go niya tong option na to. So, binigyan din tayo ng estimated residual value. So, how to compute for this? So, yung ROU asset natin, magsisimula tayo sa present value ng lease liability. Tulad nung nandito. So, we need 1 million multiplied with present value of ordinary annuity. Bakit ordinary annuity of 1? Kasi installment of 1 million. Gaano ka tagal? Sabi, 10 years siya magbabayad. So, for 10 periods, then ang gagamitin natin, sabi natin, is the implicit interest rate. Kasi ito yung uunahin natin. Pag wala lang to, tsaka natin gagamitin yung 14%. So, gagamitin natin is 5.65 present value factor. So, 1 million times 5.65 is 5,650,000. This is the present value of the lease liability. Pero if merong purchase option, we need to add the present value of it. Kasi sabi dito, reasonably certain na gagamitin natin. Ibig sabihin, at the end of the lease term of 10 years, magbabayad tayo ng 500,000. So we need to obtain the present value of 500,000. So to obtain it, we need to multiply it with the present value factor. So ang gagamitin natin is PV of 1 kasi isang one-time lump sum payment lang siya at the end for 10 periods. Then gagamitin natin yung 12%. So 0.322. So 500,000 times 0.322 is 161,000. So the total ROU and the lease liabilities sa entry natin will be 5,811,000. Okay, so ganito natin siya entry. Next, paano naman yung amortization ulit? And paano pa yung mga depreciation natin? So, simulan muna natin dito sa ating depreciation. Ano yung depreciation? Ayan, kasi may depreciation eh. Kanina inuna natin yan para hindi magulo. Nahin natin yan. Yan. So, sabi natin, kapag mayroong purchase na reasonably certain, gagamitin natin is yung ating useful life. Pero kung hindi naman niya ito most likely bibilin, ang gagamitin natin is the lease term. So, kaya ang ginamit natin is divided by 12 dito sa ating scenario. Pero ang gagamitin natin dito is 5211. So, basahin natin. Sabi, the depreciable amount is 5811. Pero kapag nagde-depreciate tayo, we need to deduct the residual value. So, 5811 minus 600,000 residual value divided by the useful life of 12 years. So, doon mo makuha yung 434,250. Yan. Okay. So, next tayo, gagawa na tayo ng table. Yan. Para magkamukha sila. So, start date natin, January 1, 2021. Starting present value natin, 5,811 million. The next, every year magbabayad siya ng 1 million. Yung interest naman niya is 12% yung gagamitin natin. So, ibig sabihin, of the 1 million payment, ang para sa principal lang dyan ay 302,680. So, the remaining carrying amount of the lease liability as of December 31, 2021 is 5,508,320. So, 10 years to pay ito. So, hanggang 2030. Di ba? Tingnan natin kung matutuloy na siya. Ayan. Okay. So, ngayon, pwede ko na i-copy ito kasi same formula lang naman. And mag-lead to into remaining na 500,000 which is the purchase option. Mag-i-equal talaga siya dyan sa 500,000. Hindi siya magsisiro out. So, para maging sakto, pwede natin isakto na dapat 500,000. So, 138,704 minus 500,000. Ayan. Doon natin nakuha yung 883,703 or 704. So, for the recording, first natin, interest expense, reduction in principal, and payment of 1 million. Yan. So, ganyan natin siya gagawin. So, every year, magre-record ka ng ganito, magre-record ka din ng depreciation. So, paano kapag in-exercise niya na yung option niya? So, if accounts are properly posted, the table of amortization will show the balance of 500,000 at the end. When the purchase option is exercised on January 1, 2031, which is the lease expiration, the journal entry to record is debit lease liability and credit to cash. So, paano naman kapag hindi in-exercise yung purchase option? So, pag hindi in-exercise, so a loss is recognized. So, magre-recognize ka ng loss if hindi siya, kung hindi siya binili at the end. So, loss on financing natin. So, how to compute for the loss? So, right of use asset natin, less yung total AC debt natin by the end of 10 years. Then, less mo yung lease liability mo. So, magkakaroon ka ng loss of 968,500. So, ganito mo siya i-record in case hindi in-exercise yung purchase option. Yan. So last example tayo. So what if naman may residual value guarantee? So ano itong tinatawag na residual value guarantee? So tingnan natin yung sample natin. On January 1, 2021, EC company list an equipment with the following information. So may fixed annual payment siya at the end of each year of 1 million. The lease term is 4 years. The useful life of equipment is 5 years. The implicit interest rate is 10%. The present value of ordinary annuity of 1. Then, binigay din yung present value of 1. Then, may guaranteed na 200,000 residual value. So, ibig sabihin, merong matitira na residual, di ba? As long as there is a residual value guarantee, there is no more purchase option because the equipment shall revert to the lessor. So, ibig sabihin, pag may residual value, hindi magkakaroon ng purchase option kasi babalik at babalik sa lessor yung equipment at the end. So, compute for the cost of right of use. So, to compute for it, we need the present value of the lease payments. So, lease payment niya is 1 million. Kailangan natin dahil installment is ordinary annuity. Ilang period? 4 years kasi 4 year lease term. Anong gagamiting rate? Implicit. So, 1 million times 3.6987 and kailangan din natin yung present value ng residual value guarantee at the end pa. So, ibig sabihin, present value of 1 yung gagamitin natin. So, total ROU is 3,306,470,000. So, ngayon, paano naman yung amortization? So, table of amortization natin. Present value natin, magsisimula tayo sa 3,306,470. So, similar na to dito, kaya hindi ko na inulit yung table kasi interest will be present value multiplied by implicit interest rate. Then, yan, pababa siya. And matitira din yung 200,000 na residual value guarantee. So, payment natin, 1 million less interest expense. So, applicable to principal. So, technically, ito lang yan. Yung ating remaining present value will be 263,717 as of December 31, 2021. So, to record, yung ating ROU, 3,306,470, equal din siya sa lease liability. So, pag nag-payment na, ganito yung recording. And for the depreciation, i-depreciate natin yung ating 3,306,470. Pero dahil may residual value, i-deduct muna natin yung 200,000 bago natin i-divide sa ating lease term. So, hindi natin ginamit yung useful life na 5 years kasi hindi siya nag-fall dun sa mapapapunta sa'yo yung equipment at the end. Kaya divided by 4 lang. The asset is depreciated over the lease term of 4 years. Okay. So, return on equipment. So, pag binalik na, to record the first annual payment, okay, pag return na, i-credit natin, tatanggalin na natin yung ROU, tatanggalin na natin yung ACDEP, and tatanggalin na natin yung lease liability. Okay. However, if the fair value is less than, so paano naman daw at the end? Paano kung hindi naman talaga 200,000 yung residual value at the end? Paano kung 150,000? So, mag-recognize tayo ng loss on finance lease of 50,000. If the fair value is higher naman, hindi na kailangan mag-entry kasi wala namang cash settlement. Itong additional na ay yung difference ng fair value against the residual amount. So, that is for the residual value guarantee. So, dadaanan ko lang itong initial direct cost. So, sabi dito, pag may initial direct cost, so magkano initial direct cost niya dito? 250,000. Kailangan nating i-add. Then, kapag mayroong lease incentive na na-receive, kailangan i-deduct. Ito yung una natin diniscuss as to the initial measurement of ROU asset. So, same na same lang siya. Kailangan lang, pag may initial direct cost, i-add. Pag may lease incentive na na-receive, i-deduct. Okay, so meron din tayo ditong unguaranteed residual value. So, on January 1, 2021, SZ Company list a warehouse with the following information. Meron siyang annual rent payable of 600,000, unguaranteed residual value of 200,000. So, unguaranteed yung residual value. Anong impact naman nito? Payment to the lessor for a long-term lease, 224. Ito yan. Then, cost of restoring, 634. So, ito yung mga sabi natin na ina-add natin sa cost ng ROU. To compute for the total ROU ka. So dahil unguaranteed, mapapansin nyo, wala siya dun sa computation. Unlike with number 3 dito, nakasama talaga siya. Saan na yung ROU natin dito? Naka-recognize talaga yung 200,000. Dito is hindi. So, ang sabi dito, meron dito mga iba pa annual executory cost. So, ito is not treated as direct cost. So, it is treated as outright expense. Okay. The lease provides for neither a transfer nor a purchase option. So, wala. Hindi mapupunta sa kanya at the end. So, babalik kay lessor yung equipment at the end. So, payment of liability, okay. Okay, so similar lang siya doon except na hindi ini-include kapag unguaranteed yung residual value. So, yun lang ang kailangan natin tandaan, and also take note na yung mga directly attributable cost lang yung ini-include natin for our ROU computation. So, that's all for this lessee accounting na discussion. So, hopefully, nakuha natin and practice lang ng more problems para mas magamay natin how to recognize the initial ROU, lease liability, and to amortize the lease liability. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.